Hello everyone, welcome back to Command Wolf Gaming. I'm CWG and welcome to another episode of Trailmakers, where we're going to take a look at some new, a new logic block known as the angle sensor, or what I like to call it as the perpendicular sensor, perpendicular sensor. Alright, the reason why I'm calling it the perpendicular sensor because I found it is absolutely atrocious at doing anything else. Even trying to use it as a horizontal sensor to try to keep vehicles running in a straight line, it just sucks. And when I say sucks, I mean it sucks doing anything else. And I'll explain it to you in detail here. So first of all, let me introduce you to the new logic block, this angle sensor, also known as the perpendicular sensor, because that's what I'm going to be referring to it from now on, or crap sensor, or bad sensor, or bad. So anyway, here's how this works. So basically, this little ball in here, which is technically the arrow, if we back it up, as you can see, you got the arrow and the ball. So the ball indicates where the arrow is. It activates either by being within the blue area or within the black area, depending on how you program it. However, here's the programming. You got directional, you got width, you got output, and you got an outside trigger mechanism. So the directional indicates where the arrow will go. So if you indicate 90 degrees, it will move this blue box 90 degrees. Now, I don't know why they're doing it counterclockwise instead of clockwise. It kind of hurts my brain thinking about it, so I'm not even going to think about it anymore. So anyway, so it will move this blue area from 90 degrees top to 90 degrees to the left. Now, the width indicates how much tolerance you're going to have from that 90 degrees. Because this whole thing is not 90 degrees, right? It's just right there in the middle of all this blue. That is 90 degrees. So we're going to indicate a tolerance of, let's say, 20. There you go. So we indicated that at close to 90 degrees with a 20 difference, that as soon as that ball hits that, it will do something. It will send an output of 1, which is positive, to a mechanism that will do whatever, either adjusting a tail fin or firing a rocket or something like that along those lines. However, this could be very bad as well, because if you flip this, if you say trigger outside, it just wants to move that ball to this blue thing. So let's say if you have a rocket going straight up and down like this, then all of a sudden it starts going crazy and start pulling noise down. It still wants to pull this ball, excuse me, all the way over here. Clearly indicating that it's not a real good mechanism to have. Now you can make corrections here. You can be like, okay, well, I can set it to that, and then I can have, let's say, 270, right? 270 width, right? And that will give it a better mechanism, right? We can set this to negative 90, like so. Boom, there you go. So it's constantly correcting, so that doesn't get it. You can finagle with this quite a lot, and to set it to do different things using the positive and negatives and everything like that. However, there is a limitation to this. This can only set a negative or a positive output. And if they're both set on the same mechanism, on the hinge or on a rotating servo, or I even found it a little bit weird on a motor, right? They fight against each other because they want to do one, but you're telling it you wanted to do it. It doesn't work well. It's a very bad block. So I got a couple examples here. So I got this one. This is just on a regular hinge here. we're going to take a look at this. So first of all, it's already set to a pre-angle. Now, I feel like this angle indicator is just good for setting pre-angles just from get-go. You don't have to basically hit a button for it to set the angle. It just does it automatically, right? So that's what I think this is all about. So, or what this is good for. So as you can see, it's at a angle already. I'm clapping my hands. Obviously, I'm not touching anything now. However, if I hit A, which is actually the negative input, it will flatten out because it wants to bring us back to neutral, which would be 0 in this case. Now, I think if we rotate this, right, hold on, I want to just make sure on this, make sure that's on there. Now, if I think we go like that, it will severely increase our angle. So wherever that green, this 0 is, right? So in this case, 0 is in that direction, is where our 0 will indicate, right? This is only going to be on a vertical plane. So with this sensor standing up like so. So if you can see 2 blocks going up with this sensor, or 4 blocks going up with this sensor, or even this face from if we're looking at the horizon, that's how it's gonna work. However, it only also works in one direction. That's where the critical issue is with this thing. So if I have this again, if I have this at, let's put it back to 0, right? If I put this over here and I say, okay, well, I want to go 45 degrees at, I think this is going to be negative 45 degrees, right? Negative 45 degrees, and I just want a width of 1, right? Because we want it exactly on 45 degrees, right? It'll bring us all the way down to 45 degrees, right? So I don't have any more wiggle room. Now, this is negative input. Right? Perfect, right? Great, that's great for a single hinge. However, let's say if I want to be like, well, I kind of want to make it like be in between these 2 points, right? And so I want to program it onto the same hinge. You can't. You can't program it on the same hinge because it only allows 1 output. So let's say, okay, I'm going to put this at 20. And I'm going to put this at negative 5. Right? So it's in that indication area. Then I'm going to copy this. I'm sorry. Copy it. And we're going to flip this. We're going to put this as a directional of 5, negative 1. And we're going to program this on here. Right? That's great. It stays in the center like we want to. The biggest issue is that I have to use a 2x4 area for this sensor block in order for me to be completely even on this hinge. So they're basically fighting against each other, right? So if I go D or A, right, they're fighting against each other to keep it perpendicular if we're outside forces. So either if it's gravity or weight, or even in this case me forcing the hinge. So it's not very good because you have to take up that 2x4 area. And even on the backside, it's a 4x4, it's a 4x1x2, right? And it just takes a significant amount more space than if we just use sensors or something like that. It's not a very good block. Yes, you can probably use it in some builds, maybe some marine craft like submarines, or some spaceships, or even an aircraft. And in fact, I got an example of an aircraft that we can show you in a bit. So it's just weird. So now I got something that has an auto balancing mechanism, something that you might want to use in, like, let's say a rocket or something, right? So I have this set up so that this one's on a positive output on this side, right? With the 20 direction of negative 30. On this side, on this one, I have to have a direction of 30 with of 20 in a positive output. honestly, engines, I don't think they care if it's a positive or negative output, as long as they get some sort of input in order for them to work correctly. So if we drop that, the issue is that they're both going, and they'll turn off when they hit the blue area. Now I could actually have this flipped around and use all the blue area as the trigger mechanism, and then the black as the turn off mechanism. I just have it like this as an easier indication that this works. So as you can see, it wants to bounce back and forth. Now these are on trailer hinges. There's no controls on attached to it whatsoever. As you can see, I'm not doing anything. So let's just say I want to increase this. I'm going to increase these angles to, let's say, negative 15. Actually, I want to try to cover, and this one 15 as well. Again, this is great if you want to use it for, like, again, a rocket or an aircraft or something, but you still have to take up a significant amount of area in order for you to even get this set up well. So it's a bad block. Like, I could probably do the same thing with sensor blocks and have them fire off accordingly. You know, it's in the sensor blocks, these distance sensors are only 2x1s, you know? They're not taking up that much space. Okay, so we got it set up, right? So if we drop this on the ground, obviously it's even. And then when it gets close to an object, it'll fire off. And it takes up significantly less room than the angle sensors, or the perpendicular angle sensor, or the poop sensor, or however we want to refer to it. Like, honestly, yes, okay. So with these distance sensors, you gotta know, like, okay, so this has to be 5 blocks from there, right? So 5 blocks, whatever, five blocks. So we'll just put 5 blocks, right? Right? Whatever, right? I get it, you know, this doesn't work perfectly, but these are actually far more reliable than actually this stupid angle sensor, because the angle sensor takes up a significant amount of space, and it's just so much more room, you know. And plus, since it's only one output, even if we have it on a hinge mechanism, it doesn't work right. It doesn't look right. So let's actually see about that servo one. Hold on, let me find it right now. All right, so I think I found the servo one. I actually had to make a couple of these things to get it working right. So as you can see, we're perfectly even. And if I just bring it just right outside, it does want to fix itself accordingly. Whoa, hello. That was not supposed to do that. That's the -1. Ah, that's the reason why, because I'm an idiot. That's supposed to be a positive one. But as you can see, that it's great that it fixes it, right? But I still need 2 sensors in order to fix it. Now, this would be a cool mechanism to have, like if you're planning to make a metronome or something like that, because it's easier on the eyes, but you're still using 4 block area where you could probably put something else that's more decorative or something like that. Don't get me wrong, it's a cool looking block. It's not really suited to this. Yeah. And there we go. It went upside down. Bravo! Bravo! Perpendicular block. And you can use it to clip through other blocks too. So anyway, on that note, we're going to get rid of this, obviously, because I didn't like that. And then we're going to actually pull up my walker. Now, a lot of you guys, actually not even my walker, I'm going to pull up the horizontal version of this. So I did this obviously off recording, because I wanted to show you guys why this won't work in a horizontal format. So first of all, I'm going to actually bring this perpendicular to the right direction, right? Get back on there. Okay, so I already have this programmed to this one sensor, right? And I want to say, okay, so I want it to fix this rotating servo to this area. So I want this as a width of 1, right? So that ball, if this ball is not even with this vehicle, which it's not even with this vehicle right now, it should adjust this accordingly, which I have this set to, you know what, we'll just cut it down to like 20 degrees, right? So if we do that, it is quite literally, it's not doing anything. And the reason being is because this is not a compass type device. This is a bubble level type device. Now, if you guys don't know what a bubble level is, basically a bubble level is a piece of glass and it has like an oil mixture in there with a actual bubble in there. Now, when you put it on a flat surface, that bubble will sit in between two indicator lines that are running perpendicular to the glass tube. Perpendicular means 90 degrees to a flat surface. So if you look at the horizon and a tree standing up in front of you, the tree is perpendicular to the horizon. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a cases where it's not perfectly perpendicular, but whatever. This is just an example. So that's what a bubble level does. So if it's at an angle, right, that bubble will move accordingly, so it tells you that it's at a different angle. So since this bubble level on here can't do that, right, it's not, it doesn't act like a compass, it just acts like a bubble level, right? It doesn't really have the choice of doing it. In fact, if they made something more like a bubble level than this stupid design, then I would be all for actually using this in all types of vehicles. Even though it would still only work for perpendicular vehicles. In fact, I know this is actually absolutely atrocious. So it doesn't work well, this angle, but it does work with certain creations. Like, for instance, as I said, a perpendicular vehicle. Here's my perpendicular vehicle. So I went and you guys have been wanting me to do walkers, and I've been doing walkers the last couple of weeks. And you guys talked about me using this perpendicular sensor for this vehicle, which actually we have it here. So this is already preset to 0 with a 30, output of 1, and it's just set to fire these engines off. And of course, I just cleaned up the back here so all the right logic are in the right position. Now, if I hit F, I'm in a perpendicular setting, and this is auto walking accordingly, and it's actually doing what it's meant to do. It's meant that if the vehicle falls too far back, it'll fire off the engines accordingly to bring it up into a more balanced position. Honestly, when you walk, you kind of lean forward anyway to walk forward, right? It's like really wonky still, because of how this sensor actually kind of interferes with this all. But it still works. So I was actually trying it before by cleaning up the feet and everything, but it still walks. So for the most part, this works on this design, especially since it only needs a positive output. Or again, a negative output, because I don't think engines really care, except for I think jet engines don't care, but regular car engines do. Now, I did attach it to this mama jama of a thing, and as you can see here, I had to change it up because I didn't have enough room in the middle to actually put these sensors in a perpendicular format to the horizon in order for it to work. So again, I have these set to actually control the hinges here on the tail, right? As you can see here, there's two tail hinges, and over here, this one is set to a positive, and this one is set to a negative. So, because I wanted to try to fly as even as possible. So, if we take off now, right, first of all, you can see automatically that the sensor's already trying to adjust for the course, right? So we're going to get off the ground. And we're just going to try to fly for a bit. And as you can see, I'm actually holding down the one button in order to keep it from going too wonky. So I'm actually holding down the original S button like I did on the build for this. So now if I hold down just the thruster, right, it's still not compensating because again it's fighting against each other. And this is why there's so much difficulties with using stupid sensors like this for automatic systems. So we're just going to get rid of the one, and this is just going to be activated for this. So this is, let's see what this is. That's set at a 25-degree angle, and that's going to be a positive. Again, this is a positive, and that's a positive as well. Why is that not here? Go down. Yeah, 25, 25. Okay. So now if we take flight, we should be able to allow it to correct itself in mid-flight. So if I let go, come on, even out, even out. Oh, nope, over. Oh, no, 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 no. Told you, not a perfect vehicle. It still attempts to do it, like it's still working nicely in the fact that it's still sending that necessary output in order to make that correction. It's just, it's doing it in a very poor manner. In fact, maybe it's just because I have the direction on here? I don't know. We'll try that. Alright, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I did have the direction a little messed up there. So, but I did fix it. So, as you can see, it is making that correction to try to make the vehicle fly horizontally as much as possible. Right? But we're getting this weird, like, flutter that's going on. And that's because as soon as it gets into that blue area, it cuts off. I really wish that it was a little bit smarter in where it compensated the against the hinge, telling the hinge to be at a different angle during flight, so you can get a higher or shallower angle for flight purposes. Because see, that worked nice. It worked nice. It worked totally nice in which it corrected itself in order to be a level flight. And actually, that's actually working much surprisingly better. However, if I wanted to adjust it so that it stayed perfectly flat while it was doing this, I would actually have to have a negative input, and then they would be fighting against each other. So let's just do this. We're going to flip this around like so. Copy this over. Go like this. And we're going to take this, put it over here, and then we're going to put the negative input as 1. In fact, this might actually work well on this. Okay. Alright, we're off the ground again. And I feel like we're getting a much more drastic flutter that's going on, because now they're not only fighting against each other, right? They're also kind of bouncing in between each other, as you can see there, you know, because they have that little bit of edge that's overlaying just a bit, but not enough. So, yeah, it's again, this is not a very good sensor. I wish it had a positive negative output built into it all together, or even like turn it on and off like a 2 individual boxes that said, oh, I want this as a positive or positive only, or I want this as negative only accordingly, right? And actually this makes it a whole lot weirder to fly now because I have to deal with the sensor. It's not a good block. I keep saying this over and over again, and that's my only conclusion on this. It works, but it doesn't work well enough. It was just poorly designed, and I feel bad for it because I felt like it had so much potential, but it also takes up so much room. Even though it does look cool, it just takes way too much room up in order for it to be in actual use on most vehicles, especially since it has to have this design of perpendicular to the horizon. So on that note, I'm going to call it quits for today. Thank you guys for tuning in today here on Commander Wolf Gaming. Hope you enjoyed the footage. I know this is not probably what you guys are expecting today, but this is what I was able to get out. I've actually had a very, very long weekend, and so I'm probably not going to have a lot of episodes this week, unfortunately. So, but if you have any comments or suggestions, make sure to leave it down below. I know we've been talking about walkers lately, so if you want me to do more walker things, I will be more than happy to do some walker stuff. I was thinking about making them AT-AT or AT-ST or I don't know, something along those lines because I like Star Wars so much, right? So, and that was actually a nice landing. Very nice landing. So, like, anyway, my whole assumption, my whole thing, the conclusion to this video is that this block is not very good at what it does. However, in conjunction with other blocks like other logic blocks, distance sensors, AND blocks, OR blocks, XOR blocks, and a lot of time fiddling around with them together, I'm sure that we can get it to work well. The greatest failure on this point is that it always has to be working on a perpendicular angle to the horizon. That means a vertical angle, and it's unfortunate. I really wish this would have been better. So anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. As always, like, subscribe, and share, spread the love. Hope to see you next time here on Commander Wolf Gaming. And did you guys know that 95% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel yet? That's right, 95% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel yet, so make sure to hit that big red subscribe button down below. And like I always say, folks, like, subscribe, and share, subscribe and share, spread the love, and I hope to see you next time here on Command Wolf Gaming. Bye bye now.